welcome to Down the Slope. I don't think I've hosted this in a very, very long time, so I've not really been thinking too much about it. I might have a wee bit of the nervous jitters as I try and link the conversation together tonight, and if you see me looking a wee bit befuddled at some points, you know it's because I've just lost the run of myself. But tonight I am joined by Ewan and Craig. As you both know, I don't like to ask how you're doing because, let's be honest, 99.9% of listeners do not give a hoot what your Monday's been like. So we're just going to get right into it. Craig, Murphy or Stevenson?
Uh, Football and ability, Murphy. Everything else, Stevenson, because I love Stevenson. So I'm gonna not sit on the fence. I'll say Stevenson just because I love him so much.
Ewan?
Yeah, if I'm not getting any more context to that, Liam, I'm probably going Stevenson as well. I know that like on an ability level, it's probably not true, but yeah, Hibs fan in me, I think I'd take Lewis Stevenson over just about anyone on the planet. So David Murphy doesn't make the cut, unfortunately. What a
I'm going to
player
be
though,
honest.
eh?
Oh, what a player. So the inspiration to my question was I was having my cereal on Sunday morning and I looked on Twitter and saw a tweet saying that David Murphy is one of the most underrated Hibs players
Well, maybe
of
he
all
is.
time, something like that. So, I was hoping what was going to happen is the two of you were going to say David Murphy and prove my hypothesis that he's anything but underrated. In fact, I thought it was such a um, blatant misuse of the word underrated that I actually think he is just a very rated player. I don't think he's overrated. I just think he's very rated. I think
Uh-huh.
anybody who was around during that era would very
Like the
much
current
say
Jack
David
Iredale.
Murphy is rated.
He's rated. He went from being really overrated to like maybe a little bit overhyped and now perfectly in the middle.
Maybe, but I think Jack Iredale's got some way to
Oh,
go
of
to live
course,
up
yeah.
to
Is
the.
there?
I know where you're coming from, but
Do
he's
you
got
think,
some way to go to live up
If
to
the
David
question
Murphy.
was like a pure ability, like who's played at left back, do you know what I mean? Like it's David Murphy. Like if you're picking just a pure like, no context, nothing, Hibs 11, David Murphy's probably definitely the left back in my era, but Stevenson would always get in just for what Craig said.
I, I,
do,
I think, I think, I think that's fair. Craig, you gonna come in?
I was just saying, do you think David Murphy could go down as being classed as one of these like a Hibs streets won't forget player
Hmm.
just because of how good he was? I know he's my brother's favorite ever Hibs player. Uh, Like, does he get? Because quite often that phrase is used for like attacking players, but I feel
Mm,
like his technique was so good that he could maybe even be go down as that.
I prefer the application of streets won't forget to players that maybe weren't there for a huge period of time. And they had like
I know
maybe
too well.
6 months or a year that was just absolutely superb. I know where you're coming from.
Do you know
David
maybe if they
Murphy,
give
if he
some
wasn't injury prone and had pace, would have been an absolutely elite fullback
he
in the
was
English
one of
Premier
many
League.
at the time that left Hibs to go and play in the Premier League as well, didn't he? Obviously, a couple went to sort of Celtic and Rangers, but him and Fletcher both went and I know he was at Birmingham when they won the League Cup, but was that during his injury spell? Or did he play like was he a first team squad member? Do you know like when they
When they won the
went
League Cup.
I know he was
I think he
there, but I
maybe
don't
got
know.
on off the bench,
Right,
if I
okay.
remember correctly. I remember watching the game and wanting them to win because they were playing Arsenal, but also wanting them to win because I
Hmm.
wanted him to do well. I also had a wee soft spot for Obafemi Martins. But anyway, I think before this turns into a Birmingham City,
No, I just want to make another point. Maybe he's underrated because I feel like outside of the Hibs fan base, he is not ever in discussions.
I don't know. I don't know. I think people who were watching football at that time
Do you
would have
think?
rated that. I'd remember him quite often. Like old opposition teams would pick him out as being like the left
Okay.
back's a player. Anyway,
Anyway, that's
anyway,
enough.
we've David Murphy for the first 4 minutes, and it's time to really get into it, boys. We're going to do things a wee bit differently tonight, mainly because I'm in the driving seat and I just fancy being a wee bit of a rebel. So we're going to mix things up a wee bit. I'd see we've got a couple of comments for John Leaf, our good friend Aki, just saying evening all, and Aki saying, feel like streets won't forget and underrated are the same thing. Well, I think you're wrong, Aki. So we'll move on nicely for that. We are going to do things differently and we're going to do a quiz to begin tonight. Mainly just actually because I've had this idea for a few weeks and because I've not been on the last few weeks, I've been really wanting to do this. And it was inspired a little bit by Ewan's quiz earlier on in the season. I am going to ask Ewan and Craig to bat back and forth
Right.
players
Oh,
who They have to have been the player who made the most appearances in all competitions for Hibs in a single season for
Fucking
the
hell,
last
sir.
25 seasons going back to
Just goodness
2000,
grace.
2001. Now, there are some instances where there's a tie and more than one player because they finished on the same amount of appearances. There's two players. But for most seasons, there's one player who made the most appearances in all competitions in that particular season. I have the list in front of me. I have it prepared. And
You've
we'll
only had
bat
3
back and
weeks.
forth
I'm
until
quite
you run
happy.
out. And I'll broadly try and keep score. I'm guessing by Craig's body language, this is going to be a bit of a
Mate,
bit
I
of,
feel like I'm
I'm
getting a little
slightly
bit
like a
golden.
bit of
muppet.
granny in here. But
Aye.
I think we should start with it. And you, and seeing as you seem so confident,
no,
I think
no.
you should start.
I will go for my player will be David Marshall.
Can I just ask? I've misunderstood slightly. What season is this?
Any season
So
in the
any
last 20
season from 2000 to 2001 season to current day, I'll actually even accept this season up until now as an answer. The player who made the most appearances in all competitions in that season.
I feel like I've made a really bad start there. So there's only one answer per season, Craig, basically, and there's 25 seasons to pick for.
Right.
You
So I
have
can
us.
just. I kind of.
Right. I'm going for David Marshall. I feel like he didn't miss many games when he was here.
David Marshall was the joint most appearance holder in the 22-23 season.
So that's the point, yeah? The
1
joint
point to
skip.
you.
Right, okay.
Fucking hell, man! I'm gonna get absolutely done here. Do I get squad lists or do I just have to pluck players out there?
No, you've just got to pluck them out of thin air. No squad lists and no looking at the YouTube comments
Right,
either, as always.
Marciano.
Ophir Marciano did not in any season end with the most appearances. This time at Hibs.
He's done me there.
Right, I'll go. I'm thinking COVID season, Joe Newell.
So now he didn't actually finish the top appearance maker in the COVID season,
did
but
last year.
season Joe Newell finished on 49 appearances. So well done you, and that's 2-0 to you.
Lewis Stevenson's got to be one.
So
Got to be a few seasons.
I was flicking down the list this earlier on. I was like, he's surely got to be. Like, been here for 25 years. He's never injured. Would it surprise you to know they only managed this in one season at his time at Hibs?
No, I don't think it would be. Just like I'm trying.
You know,
And
my
it
next
was
guess.
the 2015-2016 season where he made 53 appearances, which is the most out of any player on this list. So 53
season,
appearances.
2 deep cup runs, eh?
Aye.
We played literally every game we could have last season.
And playoffs as well, I suppose.
He's like, oh fucking hell! Literally every game we could have played.
2-1.
Right, let me think. Rob Jones, thinking maybe when we won the CIS Cup.
Rob Jones, and you're right on the season as well. In one season, which was the 2006-2007 season, finished joint on 49 appearances.
Just for context, are we allowed to still pick the joint
Yes.
winners? Okay.
Yes, absolutely. They're all open to play for. There's that, which makes about 30 odd players on the list.
Paul Hanlon.
Gotta be in
He's
there
another
somewhere,
one
eh?
who I was like, he must be, and he is, to be fair. So 2011-12, 43 appearances. In the 2019-20 season, which was the season suspended by COVID, he finished on 41 appearances. So 2 seasons, Paul
Well, that's
Hanlon
a
was
sneaky
top.
one, isn't it? That VC.
Aye,
Was he joint top that year or just top? Did you say?
just top.
Right. Okay. And there's a joint top when Joe Newell from last season. Did you say?
No, Marshall's got a joint top.
All right. God, this is good radio.
It's 3-2 after 4 rounds, by the way.
I will there's not going to be any goalkeepers in that sort of 2009-10 era when John Hughes had his fucking goalkeeper school. Come on, Ewan, pull someone out here, pull someone out.
You've got a couple of seconds.
Yeah, we got promoted. I will go for
Come on.
Jason Cummins.
Jason
he got injured.
Cummings. Jason Cummings does not make the list, I'm afraid. Craig, chance to level it up at 3 apiece.
Who's had loads of Martin Boyle.
Yep, Martin Boyle. So I'll take Martin Boyle for this season because he's on 36 appearances all comps this season. 2020-21 season, so the COVID season, 48 appearances. He was our top maker. And in 16-17 as well, Boyle appears 3 times on the list. I think he might be the only player to appear 3 times on the list.
So that was the answer to the year I went.
He made 43 appearances and he was joint top with the other person on the 16-17 season.
Is the
So-
other 16-17 one Darren McGregor?
It is correct.
Oh,
So
thinking
you've
Daz.
nudged back ahead at 4-3. Well done, you. And Darren McGregor is correct.
Bastard. I was thinking about Daz, but I thought maybe he was injured a couple of times. That would keep him off that list.
It's your turn anyway, so you're evening it up on turns, Craig. So chance to
So-
go 4-4.
The other Marshall one, that's still available.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Marshall. No, sack that. I can't think any. Scott Brown. He would have been consistent when he was in.
Scott Brown
Mhm.
does not make the list, I'm afraid.
Bastard.
I feel like that would have been maybe he was like second or third behind Jones, maybe the year we won the cup. I just had a player in my head for John McGinn, the year we got promoted. I think he
John
played
McGinn does not make the list.
He got an injury, did he not?
Did they miss the start of that season?
David Gray.
David Gray is a good shout, but David Gray does not make the list.
I feel like the seasons that would have been David Gray have been taken. Do you know what I mean?
Possibly.
Like the cup final.
Which is a real
Eh,
happens if you just go a wee
Is
bit
it?
further
A wee
back
bit
in
further
time.
back.
Aye.
Do you know, is excuse me, sorry, I'm thinking the season I got my season ticket, who would have played loads? Derek Riordan.
Derek Riordan appears twice on the list in 2005-2006 with 42 appearances. He was then also the joint top appearance maker in 09-10 when he returned to the club making 43 appearances that season.
I'm glad I never shared the season I got my first season ticket, but it wasn't either of them.
Yeah, he was my favourite player.
So Craig, I think you're 5-3 behind by my reckoning, so you need this one to get yourself back in it.
Right. I can't honestly see this whole Marshall one. It keeps coming back to me. I'm having a blank on who.
Was
I
that
can't
last
remember
season,
any
did you say,
member of
Liam?
the squad.
2
2
seasons.
years ago.
Yeah.
To Lee Johnson. Have we had last year?
You said you know.
Oh, right, okay.
Oh my God.
I think I've got another one lined up, so I'm going to say it straight away just to put him back under when he said his answer. I like him panicking. Come on.
Jordan
Craig.
Abita.
No Jordan Abita, I'm
Nah,
afraid.
would have to be last year.
Jordan Abita, I'm
versatile.
afraid.
Fuck, I thought it was gonna be him.
Ian Murray?
Yeah, Ian Murray appears twice on the list. So Ian Murray in 01-02, 40 appearances, and again in 02-03, 40 appearances. So you are now 60 in front.
That's game over, isn't it?
Ticking these off here,
It's
sir.
not done yet. There's still plenty of names out there.
You said
I'm
a few
enjoying this.
tap-ins the further back
We've
you go.
got, we've got a couple of strikers that have not been taken.
Gary
Um,
O'Connor.
Sorry, no Gary O'Connor, I'm afraid. I put the bait out there for you and you took it. No Gary O'Connor. We've got a couple of centre backs that have not been taken.
Right, this is going to be a
mean,
really
we've left a
roll.
lot of goalkeepers as well, clearly.
Daniel Anderson.
Aye, so you shouldn't have maybe given me that clue at quite that point.
I
Daniel
was
Anderson
working
in,
through 0304.
0304, well
Aye.
done, yeah. Daniel Anderson,
That was
7-3
my
to
I've
you.
got
season
no
ticket.
chance with that, by the way, 0304.
Well, there's only one early one now. 2000, 2001. And then the rest will be sort of
2000, 2001's the only other one. There's a 2004, 2005 missing. We've got another one in 06, 07 missing. We've
Chris
got
Hogg.
07, 08. Right on the tip of my tongue, Craig. Well done,
Really?
Chris Hogg. 07, 08, Chris Hogg with
Oh.
38 appearances, 7-4. Well
Good
done, Craig.
shout,
That's a
Craig.
really good shout.
Did you say there's another 2004, 2005? Is that a co-year?
So 04, 05 we've not had a shout for yet.
Right.
We've got an 06, 07 that's blank. We've got 08, 09. I can't believe he's not taken. 17, 18 season. The 18,
Is
19
0809 Stephen Fletcher?
08, 09 is Stephen Fletcher. Well done. You're now
Yes.
8-4 in front.
See, I just wouldn't. Although I guessed a striker, you just wouldn't have it down as being an attacking player.
You've
No.
got to
I
just
feel like
think
they're
of.
more
I feel like you
prone
need.
to being out.
I feel like you need to just think like the logic of the season. Do you know what I mean? Like Fletcher wasn't great that year. Scored like 10, 13 goals, but Hibs weren't great. Do you know what I mean? Like so he must have played.
Right, you've got another couple of goes, and then go for you, Craig. Go for you, and then back to you, Craig, and then I'll reveal the rest of the list.
There was one early one you said, eh?
Mm-hmm. Got
It's
04,
too
05
early.
empty, 17, 18 empty, 18,
No, it's
19
too early.
empty. You've got a second player in 21, 22, and a second player in 22, 23. In fact, you've got two players open in 21, 22.
Uh,
Gonna have to
4 or
pressure for an
5.
answer.
I know. St-
Gonna have to
I'm
really
just going to say
pressure.
Boozy because I've had him. That was the one I was thinking, but I knew he
No
was too
boozy, I'm
early.
afraid, lads. Not.
Chris Cadden for 21-22.
Oh,
So Chris Cadden's correct, but he appears in 22, 23 alongside David Marshall in 42.
Oh,
oh,
So you're
was
wish I
that?
9-4
had
in
that.
front. That you've got
I feel. Can
you've
I go on
got
a see like when you said we're finishing? Can I try and like go on a run?
you
Like
can you can try.
like in bowling. Do you know
You
what I
can
mean?
try. Um, Craig, you've also got the same player won it in the 12-13 and the 13-14 seasons.
Liam
Uh,
Craig?
no, Craig did make a lot of appearances. He was actually our top goal scorer in the
Right.
second of those seasons, but it was someone else who won the award. So I'll hand over to you. You've won the game now,
Right.
9-4. I'll allow you to
Give me the years. Right.
do
So,
posturing. So we've got 2000, 2001.
Mixu.
No, Nick Colgan.
Right. Okay.
Um,
Oh, I should have got that actually.
I couldn't even
2004,
guess.
2005.
Oh, 405. It's not Boozy. It's not Brown. It's not O'Connor. It's not Riordan. It will be Gary Caldwell.
Gary Caldwell, 46 appearances. Well done. The other player in 06, 07. So you've had Jones already.
Rob Jones. It's not going to be Fletcher. Could it be Andy McNeil?
No,
No.
Stephen Whittaker.
Ah, okay.
0809, you said Fletcher. You did get that in the end. The other player in 09, open this one up to both of you. 09 10. Well, both of these are open to both of you, really.
Aye.
All of them are open to both of you. 09 10, the joint top with Derek Riordan on 43 appearances.
Was that, what position?
Striker.
Stokes.
Colin
Stokes.
Nash.
It was Anthony Stokes. Right. 2010, 2011, 40 appearances.
10, 11. Let me just. I'm trying to think in kits here. That's Puma first stand of the East stand being open.
I would say he was a heavily underappreciated player at Hibs. Heavily underappreciated.
Heavily
He's gone on to have a very good
underappreciated.
career since. Won a couple of trophies in this country.
Which would mean he played for St. David Witherspoon.
Correct. Right. The player from 12-13 that won it back to back.
That won it back to back.
12-13 and 13-14 back to back.
Paul Hanlon.
No.
No, oh
You
no,
already guessed
sorry.
him.
No, yeah, no. 13, 14, the year we went down, was already here. Not Lewis Stevenson.
It's not a great Hibs team, let's be
No,
honest.
would it have been a? No, James Collins played up front. Not Liam Craig.
Irish right back. What's his name?
Ryan McGivern. No.
No.
That's a good shout, by the way, though. For
Oh,
someone that played across the two seasons, two cup finals. Or sorry, one cup final, and then Liam. I think that might that's going to piss me off. Position?
Goalkeeper,
Oh,
yeah.
Ben Williams.
Ben Williams.
By the
Sorry,
way,
I've
outstanding penalty save.
a good penalty save.
Aye,
I've
but no one
missed,
we needed it.
I need to give some love to the YouTube comments just before we finish this off because I've forgotten. So, evening gents from John McGlynn. Happy St. Patrick's Day from one of our Irish listeners. Thank you, sir. Welcome back, evening. Thanks, Jay and Sandy. Fontaine says John McGlynn. No, Fontaine doesn't appear on the list. SDG, no, we covered that one earlier, as you'll have heard now. Jay and
Wacky
Sandy.
got Chris Carden.
Sneak in, Hanlon Skipper. Nope, no, not on the list. So let's go to the next season, which is open, which is 14-15, 45 appearances.
Was that a joint one?
No,
No. 14, 15.
See, I should know all these ones, but I just have mind blanks.
14, 15 will be Mark Oxley.
correct. Well done.
Forgettable.
17-18 season.
Which is the year we came up. It's not John McGinn. We've had McGregor. It's not. Oh, is it Effie Ambrose?
Correct. Effie Ambrose.
Some
18-19 season with 48 appearances.
Do you know? You tell me who our goalkeeper was that year, because Marciano had left, and I don't. If that's the answer, then I genuinely don't even think I'll get it.
Nah, I don't think Marciano had left 18-19. He was still
Oh no,
here.
was he still there?
Mhm.
Aye. Oh no, yeah, God, no, yeah, he didn't leave till Heckenbottom. 18-19, Lennon. I was going to say Canberry. Aye, Canberry.
No, Craig, central midfielder.
Oh,
Oh, just take it then. Just take it.
Stevie Mallon.
Correct.
No,
Right.
I would
Fucking
never have got
hero.
And
that.
then we've
What a
only got
hero.
two missing from this point onwards, and they're both the same year, so the 21-22 season.
How can you fuckers remember so many players?
21-22 would be. Is that the Maloney? Maloney came and gone. Uh, who did we have? So Jack Ross. Who? Jack Ross, Sean
Kevin Nisbet.
Maloney. Yeah, sure. No, no, maybe no injury. He got injured against Celtic that year. Uh, it's not. Oh,
I'll give you
Ryan
a position.
Pochers.
No, I'll give you a position. Centre midfielder.
Jackson Irvine.
Uh,
Can't remember.
Jake Doyle-Hayes.
Correct. Jake Doyle Hayes,
Fuck
44
me.
appearances.
Fuck off. There's no chance he played more than fucking
That
three
was
games a season.
the season where he was fit the entire season before the manager cropped him.
Oh, I enjoyed that.
And you've not got the goalkeeper. The goalkeeper that finishes off
From what
Matt
year?
Macy.
from 21-22. Well done,
Oh,
Craig.
man.
Matt Macy. Well done.
I got
Well, we got
one.
there in the end. We got there in the end. It took us
Oh,
a
Liam,
while,
I
but we got
enjoyed
there,
that.
lads.
That was good.
It was a tough one. It was a tough one, and hope you enjoyed playing along. I do suspect we might have lost some of the listeners by now, but don't worry, we are going to talk about the Kilmarnock game at some point this evening, but we're not quite ready to talk about it yet because we had a wee sort of self-generated talking point on the back of some of the comings and goings just over the last few days. I think it was really Chris Cadden's contract extension that sparked the debate. So we were having a wee chat ourselves. Which of the players who are out of contract or whose loans are expiring would we be prioritising keeping around for the 25-26 season? So just as a wee reminder, and I'm sure all you listeners know, and I know that you two know, the players that are out of contract at the end of the season are Junior Hoylett, Martin Boyle, Dwight Gale, Joseph Bursick, forgotten all about him. Rocky Bashiri, Max Boric, also forgotten all about him. Hugh Q Kwan, Lewis Miller, Mikola Kuharovic, Nectarios Triantis. That is the list of players who are first team players who are out of contract or their loans are expiring at the end of the season. Craig, out of that list, who are the priorities there for you to keep? Ideally, stick to sort of two or three.
Rocky, definitely. I think obviously he's been pivotal this season, I would say, since the sort of turnaround in form. Probably a lot of people attribute that to Rocky, which, to be honest, it's a massive like surprise to even be sitting here saying that Rocky would be a priority to re-sign. But I think that's definitely where we find ourselves. And I think also if we can get him signed up, that gives us a proper stable base for next season, a consistent defence. Well, we've just signed Smith, so then you've got a consistent goalie, and sort of that back five almost is sorted for next season. Another one, I feel it's unrealistic now because I think he'll probably want to go to the bigger and better things. But Giannis, if you could get him signed, that'd be unbelievable.
Yeah, I think Giannis would be top of the tree for anyone sort of Hibs related. If would, is it getting to the point though where with Triant is there like do we want another like would we do another year? Do you know, or
I
do
don't think
you?
he would want another year.
But
I think he's past it now.
in the hypothetical situation, we were the only club that he could get a game. Like 1 year of more of Triantis, or is it just going to be like we'd be in the same position next year, and it's better to try and invest like for more, more years? What would you?
Because I think if you get a player of his quality, uh, you're probably only going to keep him for 1 year regardless, even if
Mhm.
it's loan or if you go and buy him. Because yeah, if he keeps up that form for another year at Hibs, he would
Aye.
definitely get taken out of your hands anyway. So if you could get another year's loan, I would definitely take it personally.
Yeah. Triantis would be at the top of my list, and then I would probably have Lewis Miller ahead of Rocky,
That's controversial, mate.
if I'm being
What's your
honest.
thinking there? Versatility or
Bit of everything. Versatility. I think he's been. I hope Dave's not watching or listening, but I think probably in the last 2 months, he's when played been one of our most consistent or at least in the last sort of group. I'm trying to think of the time period where I've really noticed it, but like I thought he was really good at Tannadice. I thought he was good, really good in both games. To be honest, against Celtic, like I think the potential's there. I would like Rocky to stay. I would, and it's not a criticism at all. And I'm not cooling on him at all. I'd be delighted if both of them were to stay, but I think I would prioritise Lewis Miller over Rocky at this point. Maybe it is because we've got Marv and Iredale and already contracted, but I think Miller gives us something that Chris Cadden doesn't, and I also don't see anyone else in the squad. Not convinced by O'Hara at the sort of right hand side of the three either. And I think I'd rather see him as the middle player in there as well. So I think Miller, and just as well, I think if I look at them from a business point of view, I think you make more money out of Lewis Miller in the future. I know Rocky's called up to the Congo squad, but Miller is a consistent international player. At the end of the day, I just think he's a better footballer. Like,
Yeah, okay. And so in terms of we've got a very much a consensus in terms of Triantis. We're thinking there's a bit of a debate between Rocky and Miller as sort of second
mhm.
and third. That kind of leaves, if you were to only re-sign three players from this group, that kind of maybe leaves a spot open for, I suppose, one of Hoylett, Boyle, or Gale is the realistic options. I don't think you're keeping any of those on. Who wants to tell me why
It's
it's Martin
Boyle.
Boyle and not the other two?
Oh, it's Boyle over. He's still our top goal scorer. He's still one of the top goal scorers in the league. Goals. I mean, I don't care what Harry says about defenses and all that. Goals win you games, mate. Do you know what I mean? Like, I would, yeah. Of all, I think there is that sentimental attachment as well. Do you know, if of all the players that were to leave, Martin Boyle would be the one that I'd probably be the most disappointed in terms of just being just a supporter and a fan of the club. But um, it's funny, like if you had this conversation 4 months ago, like get them what the fuck. Do you know what I mean? Whereas now I'm like, maybe
Uh,
we could just
Is there a potential cost saving with Boyle though, in that we've already produced a leaving video for him? So all we would need to do is just put the goals that he scored since he last left
good
onto the
point.
new onto the old leaving video.
Are we
Is
still
that an
paying? Are we
angle that
still
we should
paying for him to
consider?
come back?
I'm only
Um,
joking. I'm only joking. I mean, just to give my tuppence worth, because I think I should as host. I think with Rocky, it's difficult because I'd be kind of relaxed about him sort of moving on in the summer in some respects, but also quite keen to keep him. Um, Miller, I've kind of flip flopped on Miller a lot over the course of this season. I think he has his uses in quite a lot of games in this league. I still don't think he would be a starter and idealised 11 for me. Like, I think we should and probably could still get better in the summer. Um, and then Triantis, when he's been very good, he's been very good, but he's also played like a 21-year-old for a lot of this
aye.
season. And like in terms of consistency of performance, I think why for me at the end of the season you would be giving Nicky Cadden Player of the Year over Triantis would be that Nicky Cadden's been his level has been far more consistent throughout the season, whereas Triantis has had such peaks and troughs.
Uh-huh.
But in fairness, Giannis, he had that sort of 6 game spell start of this year where he was like a solid 8 out of 10 every
Aye,
single game. Uh, so
I think you
I
do.
don't personally know if I would label consistency or like against Giannis this season because I think he's been far more consistent than I would probably expect out of a 21-year-old.
yeah, yeah,
Aye, I do
maybe.
think that there's with all of these players, there's the expectation tax. Like Trantis has probably exceeded our expectations since he came back in this year. However, that being said, when you know the capability that he has, now not to move us on to the game too quickly, but um, I think in a game where he's up against Brad Lyons as the one central midfielder, he should be dominating the game, which I don't feel he done at the weekend. He was really poor for 45 minutes against Hearts, but then really good in the second half at
Nice.
Easter Road. He was pretty. actually thought he was really disappointing at Celtic Park. But again, that's because you're looking at him as a player that, if he's on it, then we've got do you know what I mean? Like, and you are judging him at a higher standard. Tannadice again, Craig Weaver there, like probably not at his best. So, like, I mean, see if I'm being honest there, see right now, like I'd be quite happy. Like, and this is the mad thing. Like, even if we'd done this conversation as we were going into the January window, if we kept Rock, if we kept Miller, if we kept Triantis for another year, if we kept Boyle, even like if you gave Hoylett one more year, would I be? I certainly wouldn't be angry about it. Do you know? But like,
Yeah.
it's
I'm very much in the camp of the same sort of opinion I had with Lafondra. Like I'm a very much wait and see with
Aye.
Gale and Hoylett. Let's
100%.
just assess at the end of the season, because I don't think you need to jump into these ones two foot, because I wouldn't imagine there'll be tons of clubs at our level looking to take him.
No,
I
no.
think the Boyle one's the most interesting one, isn't it? Because it's pretty well documented that he's the highest earner at the club,
Mm.
and as does his output this year justify the cost that he brings? Probably not. So you maybe would
I
be
don't know about that,
no, well,
because
no,
this is his like second
well,
best season, is it
no,
not?
this one. So, like, so there's. I mean, he's not even hit double figures yet, and if I feel like if we're paying what we're reportedly paying a striker, that we should probably be getting to double figures if pushing like Nisbet, Dodge, Boyle when he was at his best in COVID. But what I was also going to say by that is it's all very well and good maybe moving that wage off, but we've seen with someone who, let's say Dylan Venney, who you've paid a lot of money for, that's still under contract, but there's no guarantee of the consistent output that I think like I say, I'm not sure that Boyle's fully justifying what he's earning, but his output is still better than everyone else's in terms of scoring goals. So like,
Mm.
it's he's a really interesting one. Him and Chant is it is maybe more in their ballpark whether they see themselves at Hibs
Well, I
next
think
year.
it is in this the respect that Miller's got a 1 year extension that we can just activate, and then he's still here for another year. I think Rocky will have offers elsewhere. It's difficult. I mean, this is obviously just clearly speculation. I'm interested though because when we talked about this at the start of the season, we talked about massive rebuild this summer. I think it was 14 or
Yep.
15 contracts expiring. If we were to keep, so let's just say four of those players, right? So we had Gale, Bursic, Boric, Kwan, and Kuharovic, which is, I mean, most of those are loans, right?
Mm-hmm.
Only six versus the 14, 15, that massive clear that talked about going. It feels very different. Plus, I think there was one loan, so
Is there maybe some
Nohan
younger?
Nohan Kenna would be another one because his loan would be expiring. You'd probably include him in that original number. And obviously, we've had a couple that have left in January in terms of, I think Amos was out of contract this season, and maybe Doyle, Hayes,
And McCarty.
and McCarty. So I mean, there's still, it's still a fairly big turnover from start of
Is
season,
there
but
any of the
nothing
younger
like
boys that are like sort of floating around that are like I
Murray
know
Aiken,
Murray
maybe.
Johnson, right?
Maybe no, Murray Johnson's contracted to 2027.
So it's gonna be
So
like him and Megwa and stuff have signed longer
aye.
deals.
Anyway, so my point was we were there's going to be
Sorry.
14, 15 going in the summer. That's obviously now no longer 14, 15. It's a much smaller number. Are we content then that we still think that we can do enough work to the squad in the summer to see the sort of drastic improvement that we wanted 6 months ago?
I think anything's possible. I know this sounds stupid. I think one transfer window in Scotland and the nature of the league, I think one very good transfer window or one very bad transfer window is enough to sort of genuinely set you apart from potentially finishing and sort of rotting in a bottom six for the season or like kind of cakewalk in third place. I know that sounds, and obviously that like if all teams have good windows, then it would be more competitive. But I think Hibs certainly have an opportunity this summer to, if they get it right, then absolutely the squad can be improved and the starting 11 can be improved to ultimately see what we expect in terms of latter stages of cups and third and fourth place finishes.
I,
Fast,
I,
fast forward to summer, Craig. Oh, sorry, you go. No, you come
no,
in first.
all right. I was just going to say, like, I think obviously we all wanted the drastic change. I don't think we're at a stage where we need that anymore, because we've got that sort of solid spine in the squad kind of in place now. If you go through the names that we've actually got contracted for next season, it's actually starting to take shape of a decent squad, and I think we
Mhm.
just need to start adding round. Obviously, I would imagine we'll lose Yuan, which You just sort of need that X factor.
I'm getting to the point when I'm going the opposite way with you, and I'm like, he's just going to leave as a free agent when his deal's out. Every window we go into, we're like, right, he's going to be away, and it's just not.
So his contract ends not this
Next
summer,
summer.
coming next again.
Aye.
Aye.
Right.
What,
So-
what fast forward, Craig, to the summer, right? You're sitting there, you're in Malky Mackay and Garvin Stewart's shoes on the
Some
31st
shoes
of
to be
May.
in.
A nice set of brogues, probably.
Top
you're sitting,
four, these are.
you're sitting there and you're going, you've got your wee, your wee flip chart you always see in the back of the rooms, the head coaches, and you're marking out your 3 priorities for the summer, your 3 priority areas. What have you got 1, 2, and 3 in terms of positions? And you can you can expand a wee bit on those
Do you want me
as well
to
if you want.
maybe make it a little bit easier in terms we spoke about it, Craig, at the weekend, if you remember, about what a contracted 11 might look like for next season currently? Because I've got it in front of me, if that would make
Well,
you...
we'll go with the 3 priorities first
Sorry,
rather than
sir.
reading out 11 on the.
It was just so
Aye.
you can maybe...
Just for good
just
audio
for
content.
For
For good
logic.
audio.
So my number 1 would be a 6 because I'm pretty certain we're going to lose Triantis. And I think I would say it's fair to say he's in that role just now, whether he's a sort of traditional like destroyer 6 that I know Liam was very, very, very keen on. Whether it is that or not, it doesn't matter. That's kind of the position he's playing just now, I would say. So I would put him in. We've got Jamie McGrath as an attacking midfielder, so I think that's kind of checked off the list. A winger, left or right, I'm not bothered because in my head we're losing Ewan and we're losing Boyle, so I think we need one, maybe even 2 wingers. So it would be a 6, a winger or 2, and then a goalie. I want a first choice goalie, and that's not before anybody jumps in and has a go at me. I'm not having a go at Jordan Smith, but I think we can and should do better, or should have somebody to compete with to be better than Jordan Smith.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm very much of that mindset. I'd be the same as you, Craig. I think a goalkeeper, a number 6. I think we need to sign a number 9 as well. I think we need to sign a goal scorer. I think we've got goals from players who've contributed from various different positions, and a lot of different folks have chipped in, obviously, over the course of the season. But I think we have been quite reliant on Martin Boyle's goals over the piece. So we'd quite like to see us go after a number 9. That's on the presumption, obviously, that Dylan Venti doesn't come back and hit the ground running. I think it feels unlikely at this point, doesn't it? So, same question to you, Ewan. What's your 3 priorities?
Goalkeeper, centre forward, winger.
Brilliant. Perfect.
Aye. Just then, if I'm being honest, I'd probably want 2 centre forwards before a winger. But maybe just for more flexibility, the wing,
A winger that can play
like
through
a
the middle.
boy. Aye, yeah. Yeah, because I mean, and it's easy to say central midfield, but you've got Alsana,
I keep
McGrath,
forgetting about him.
Newell, Campbell, Levitt. There's already 5 players that can play in the middle of there. That if you hope that Alsana and McGrath come good as signings already, and then you've got Newell and Campbell and Levitt below the other 2 that are sort of, but still maybe in the last wee while shown that is capable of performing at this level as well. Thought it was good at the weekend. Yeah, goalkeeper.
Goalkeeper,
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah, just
Definitely.
and this it has to be a big upgrade. And I know that's like just it has. I want like a Marciano, Mitov level goalkeeper that like wins you points when they need to make it.
Do you know what? I still feel that does feel a wee bit harsh sitting here saying that. Like, because I feel a bit harsh
A
on Jordan
competent
Smith when I'm
goalkeeper and
saying
we
it.
win at the weekend. It's that simple.
I don't know. I don't know.
Right. Well, I think with that, we should probably get on to talking about the weekend's game because we've teased it on off. We've managed to talk for 39 minutes without talking about Saturday yet, and that was purely all by my design. So we got a question in which I'm going to cover first before we get into the game. So we've really stopped going out for listeners' questions. We've stopped showing our listeners love,
Selfish,
and we just don't really bother. So we're really sorry about that. Well, I'm really sorry about that. I don't think the others are, but I really care
It's
about
your
what the
job.
listeners think. Well, I care about what the listeners think, and I don't get paid for this. So we got a question from one listener. You probably won't have heard of him. A guy called David Graham. He occasionally appears on other podcasts in his sort of freelancing capacity. He's asked the question, are we getting away with it? Craig, are we getting away with it?
Well, I actually did suggest that a couple of weeks ago when me and you were on. I actually was that post Dundee United maybe.
I think it probably was, yeah.
I suggested I thought maybe the performances had dipped a wee bit recently, and I felt like we needed to pick it up a wee bit. But I would say, yeah, I would say we probably have got away with a couple recently. Like I said before, regardless of whether decisions were right or wrong, ultimately they were decisions that could easily went against us. Uh, they just could have. And they would have been game changing ones. Obviously, the Celtic one would have made it to each. Then you're in a really difficult place. The Dundee United one, you're 2-1 down. So yeah, I would probably. I don't know if Dave, by asking the question, is kind of suggesting that that's his opinion. I would imagine he maybe is. So if that is the case, then yeah, I'd probably agree with us. So we maybe have got away with some of our performances dipping, but still managing to pick up results. Not a bad place to be in, though.
Saturday aside, Ewan, are we getting away with it?
No, I don't think we got no, I don't. I think that we can play better than we probably have in the last 4 or 5 games, but I don't. Certainly on this run, I would say aside from Dundee United, I've not came away from a game thinking we didn't get at least what we deserved out of it. I think had we drawn at Tannadice, then that probably would have been maybe a fairer reflection on the game than us taking 3 points. But then you could counter that with Ross County away when had the referee been competent, we would have taken a deserved 3 points. Like I think we should have killed the game off at the weekend, but I still think we've done enough to win the game. Like I said it when we went to Ross County, you are allowed to win games 1-0. Like that's like you want to score game goals and kill games off. And just look back through the run of form that we're on. I don't see many games where we've won and we've not deserved it, or we've like there's games like it in Perth where I think it was absolutely right that we dropped points. And if anything, if I go back to the start of the season, there's probably more games where the performance deserved more than what we got. So, no, I think perhaps there's an argument to say that maybe it feels like we're getting away with it because we know we can play better. But I
Mhm.
think we right now deserve to be in third place in the league. But I think if we had a comfier margin, then that would be perhaps unwarranted. But I think if I look at the majority of games that we've played this season, there's not many of them I've felt like we've come away from going, oh, we got away with one there. I think most weeks we get what we deserve.
Nice one. Right, okay. Just before we come to the Killie game, just give the YouTube comments a wee bit of love. Aki said, actually started to come round a bit to Lewis Miller as a right centre back. Can't remember what was it Aki said. Did they not describe Miller as a war criminal or something like that? He
Something along those lines. He
basically
wasn't
said he
happy.
was. So he's come round to that's good to see. But how much of that is down to Rocky being an absolute monster in the middle? Uh, aye, quite possibly some of it. Albeit I think his performances has probably dropped off a wee bit in recent weeks as well, Rocky's. But anyway, um, let's cover the game. So I think Patrick McPartland tweeted after the game that Hibs haven't won there since 2020
Oh,
during,
really?
was it the
Uh,
COVID season or
Right.
pre-COVID season?
shocked.
Craig, is Rugby Park the archetypal difficult place to go in this league?
Yes, yes, and there's pretty much one reason for that, and that's the pitch. It's when me and you were uh, standing next to each other at the game. It's so bad to watch a game of football on that park. It's the football that it encourages and sort of demands just as that's poor. Not that football in Scotland uh, is too flashy or anything normally, but when a player of sort of Hoylett's quality on the ball cannot dribble sort of in a straight line, it's really worrying for
Mhm.
how bad a pitch is and how bad a game that produces. Because there was a number of times where players literally just couldn't dribble the ball. It was bouncing all over the place. The bounce is entirely unpredictable. 1 minute there was a ball, big crossfield ball came across towards us. I think it was for Boyle, and that skites out off the surface, which normally it bounces straight up in the air. Like I say, other times it's come down, it's landing, goes straight up. It's so bad, and I think that makes it a difficult place to go. And I think their points this season, their home and away split, probably suggests that as well. I couldn't give you an exact figure on that, but I've seen it on Pie and Bovril quite a lot, and I think that shows just how much of the pitch helps them out.
Yeah, they're bottom for home form and sixth for they're bottom for away form with 9 points from 15 games, and they're sixth for home form with 23 points from 15 games. So more than
There you
double.
go. That shows it.
The pitch is just not conducive to doing anything at pace. You
No.
know, there's no that, and that's the. I think it can feel like sour grapes, or just picking excuses, but it's just when you want to try and like drive a pass on it or sort of fizz one across it, just it bobbles. You seen in the second half, I can't remember who played the pass. It ended up in Boyle getting a shot away for sort of 20 yards, and they've tried to play that sort of instep pass and fizz it through to him, and it's just fucking bounced him. But it's shite. And
Aye.
to be honest, there's more than just that makes it shite. See, when you're, and this is, look, by the way, I've seen Hibs do it at Rugby Park, line up with fucking defenders all over the place. Kilmarnock put a central defender into centre mid to play in front of four centre halves. It's
Could you not
no.
argue that we done that at the weekend as well? Because Chartness is
Ah,
traditionally half.
it just at least we had fullbacks on our side.
Aye.
We had a fullback playing at centre half. No, it is a shite place to go and play football, but we should have a better record there than we do, Liam, as well. It's
Aye.
not only is it becoming a bit of a hard place to go, it's becoming a bit, there's maybe a little bit of scar tissue there in terms of chucking leads. Is that the last 3 games we've been there? I think
Yeah.
over the last this season and last, and that'll be the last game we play there in that time frame where we've conceded an injury time.
I think what makes the two draws there this season the most frustrating is we were in absolutely no danger in either of those games of dropping points. I mean,
Yep.
we looked very, very comfortable at the weekend. We went to Kilmarnock, and despite the poor quality pitch, number of shots on target, our XG. I'm not going to make apologies for mentioning XG because I like it. Our
I think the
XG
first half was
2.1 was high quality chances versus their 0.6 XG. I think demonstrates that we were in control of the game for the most part. And then the game earlier on the season, it was just a total head loss moment from Obita that's cost us 2 points in a game where we were really coasting, we were comfortable. And I think that game earlier on the season sort of fed into the kind of narrative that we were chucking points away
Yep.
late in games. But we've turned a corner this season, haven't we? We're not going to go back to being the team that chucks away late points late in the game, are we, Craig?
No, well, I think you've summed it up pretty well there. Like, I actually at the game didn't feel like there was a whole lot of pressure. Like the goal kind of comes out of nothing. I didn't really feel, typically when you get to the end of the game with Hibs, just because you're a Hibs fan, you do tend to start sweating a wee bit if you've only got one goal in it. Even with two goals, to be fair, sometimes I am. But at the weekend, I didn't feel they were capable of doing anything really. And obviously, is it? I know. Greg was saying to us he was fearing about us going back to Hibs at the start of the season recently, and it kind of, I mean, it's almost lazy maybe to draw comparisons like that because it is
Call him
just a
lazy.
late goal.
Tell him, Craig. Call him lazy.
No, but in a way, I almost agree with him because it is something that we would have done earlier in the season. But I don't think that's been a trend recently that we've looked like doing that. Whereas at the start of the season, you felt like it was coming. You knew it was coming every time. Even when we went 1-0 up early in a game, you knew you were going to end up either drawing or losing the game. So, no, I didn't feel in too much danger, and I didn't feel like that was going to happen, to be honest.
Jane Sandy said in the comments, Killie game, we played really well on a shite pitch. Jordan Smith not responsible for their goal. It took a deflection that even the Jambo's giant ass wouldn't stop. It's cover we need for Jordan.
I know I was critical of it 5 minutes ago there. I'm not sure that it does or doesn't hit Fraser Murray's standing leg, but just the way it bounces looks like it might. However, we've spoken enough about the pitch. I just feel like, and if it does go towards the corner and he saves it, I think he guesses and tries to go early, and ultimately when the ball just bounces over him in the middle of the net, I just think, you stand still, you pick it up. I know it's not that easy. It's just
Nah.
to see the ball go in like that. I just really think the goalkeeper has to do better there. And I come back, they just over the last month, if you want to talk about getting away with it, I think he's got away with it a little bit. And
It-
I know that's maybe not flavour of the month now, but the goal that got disallowed at Tannadice, the goal that got disallowed
Yeah.
against Celtic, I think are both
I mean,
disasters from him.
can I
The
just chuck another one in
punch.
there? The George Grant strike at the game Easter Road. I'm not being funny, but it's straight down the middle of the goal. I've honestly, if I hear another person say that's a wonder strike, yes,
Aye.
I'll be honest. I share your concerns. I want to have more faith in him, but I do think he has had quite a few games. The Motherwell free kick as well. You know, there's
Do
been
you
quite a
know
few that have just gone.
if
They're maybe not howlers, but they're ones where you would absolutely expect the goalkeeper to do better.
I might be totally wrong here, Liam, right? And I'm no goalkeeping expert, but see, even the two goals we've had disallowed against us for
Hmm.
offside, the one in the derby
Aye.
and Bruce Anderson's at the weekend, I just feel like they're both runs that are coming from just inside our half. And by the way, Joe
Aye.
Leslie's just said in the chat that Smith was very good at
He
Celtic
was. He
Park,
was
and he's
brilliant.
that
He was
he's
brilliant at Celtic Park.
that's absolutely correct, and
Aye.
it's wrong of me not to mention that when I'm going through the other games and highlighting the games where he's made mistakes. But I just think like there's a hesitance to be. He's not imposing. Do you know? I think if I'm a striker coming in one on one with him, I think I'm scoring. I think if I'm a striker going in one on one with Craig Gordon, I'm going. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I just he's sort of stuck to his 6 yard line when Bruce Anderson scores the disallowed goal at the weekend, and the ball travels 40 yards to get into the box. Like, I just and even just like the punch later on, Craig. When he sort of forearms it out when
Yeah.
again he just has it's just there's a confidence that I want him to exude onto our defenders, and I don't feel like he does that. It feels really harsh, but
I
I
get
just
that.
think our standard. Do you remember saying we're judging like someone like Shan is a lot higher? I feel like the bar for Jordan Smith's really low because of how bad Bursic was, and look, I just really hope that he is competent through to the end of the season and just
Yeah.
doesn't cost us points.
I think let's just round out here on Jordan Smith because I think we're all sharing concerns. I think statistically he is still one of the best performing goalkeepers in the league in terms of save percentage, XG prevented, all of those stats. I think the eye test's maybe telling some of us something a wee bit different at this moment in time. I think we're right to have reservations. There's a comment in there around we've lost our as a team we've lost our mojo and mental sharpness. We are missing Super Joe Newell. Um, I'll be honest. There's been a few games in this run, most of them fairly recently. Probably the first half of the derby, it was most apparent to me that we were missing Joe Newell. He's hopefully not far away from a return, maybe after the international break. Question: who does Joe Newell come in for in the team at the moment if he's returns?
On Saturday, we'd have come in for Levitt.
Right.
Yeah.
That would have been, I think that, to be fair, that's the easy option.
I
But
actually,
Levitt, I actually thought was very good at the weekend. I thought
I,
Uh-huh.
he
Yeah.
was probably one of our best performers.
yeah,
And he has been good, Levitt, generally when he's been in the team as well. So it does maybe feel quite harsh to maybe
It's a
take
squad
Levitt out the
game, though.
side. Aye,
no, look
aye.
at it. Like I agree with sort of what Joe said with Joe Newell and the mojo as well. I think the break's coming at a great time for us. I really like. I think just to we've sort of we've God, I said we haven't been getting away with it. We have kind of hung in there, but I still think we've done enough in the games to warrant the points that we've got. I do genuinely believe that. But I think a bit of a reset, some players going off on international duty, maybe get Nicky Cadden back after the break. Don't know what this. I know it was only one game, but for me, Joe Neal plays, which is stupid because he's hardly featured in this run. Do you know what I mean? Like he has been out since December, the game
Yeah.
after the derby, and even then he went off early at Aberdeen. He went off early against Killie, went off early against Hearts. So we've not really seen a sort of fully functioning Joe Newell in this run at all. But I think there's probably games Liam as well where you can play Levitt, Newell, and Campbell, especially Campbell, sorry, Triantis, especially if you're playing in the
Yeah.
top six and they sort of more um competitive games in the middle of the park. I think you would maybe see the three of them line up together. I'm thinking if you go to Tynecastle or Pittodrie, Old Firm at Easter Road.
Craig, you going to come in there?
I was just going to say that on Junior, I think these types of decisions and like, oh, does this player come back in? Do they come back in? and who do you drop for them. I think a lot of time they get taken care of like for you, just through kind of either whether it be injuries or so and so needs a rest. Like I think inevitable that Junior will be back in the squad for a few weeks and you'll see him starting a game and it won't be harsh on somebody because somebody will have to drop out for some sort of reason. So I think he'll just naturally come back in and get his place back.
He's your captain as well, Ian. I know, like we've sort of debated over the years on this pod about the sort of what a captain does or doesn't bring. I do think it's a lift for the squad in general to have him available. He's very, as far as I can see, very, very highly thought of. But within the sort of group of
Yeah, I
players, and
think so.
I think him being, look, we've sort of become a running joke on here with sample size and stuff, though, Liam, but like, the athleticism and the drive that he can give you in games to, just
Definitely.
get you up the park after making a decent tackle it's something that probably the current group lack
So
a little bit.
we've touched on their goal, obviously. I don't really want to spend too much more time talking about that. Just in terms of our goal, obviously, Dylan Levitt, who you mentioned earlier, heavily involved. How many times in your life have you seen a 3v1 situation, Craig, where the team in the ascendancy, with three players rushing up the park, have failed to score from that situation?
It was class, eh? It was so good because it was like we done pretty much exactly what you should do. One person just drives with the ball. It's absolutely superb for Levitt, by the way. I was surprised with his pace, to be honest, and like sort of drive. It wasn't something I was expecting, but he was proper put the jets on. And then obviously the other two players split off, and the defenders kind of pull two different ways. He doesn't really know what to do.
What
So we've done it perfectly in an easy to mess up situation.
what I loved about it was, obviously I loved the decision making in the past, but I loved that by the end of that run, Junior Hoylett was too gassed to go run and celebrate with him. So he just sort of slowed down and just kind of walked back to that way
I
line.
missed that. I was
I think he
putting
was
you in a
done.
headlock at that stage.
It was like one of Dwight Gale's lung, but when he came on for the last like 15, 20 minutes of the derby, those lung busting runs, or Dwight Gale in the first 45 against Ross County at home when he was
Oh,
being
when he
asked to
lost the ball.
press. Uh, I love to see it. Love to see it. I do think there's you probably watch those players with a closer eye to see than other younger players, shall we say. So there's probably a bit of a tax applied there, but that's kind of all I want to talk about in terms of the game. I mean, again, a game where we created quite a lot of chances. We could go in depth about the chances that we missed because there were some good quality ones. But it's just one of these things. Unfortunately, it's points dropped. I think the good thing about the weekend was that really our failure to win did not cost us in terms of the league table all too much. So Aberdeen dropping points away at St Johnstone, Dundee United, and what was a brilliant game yesterday. If you've not watched sports scene, didn't manage to catch it, that genuinely was one of my highlights of the weekend, sitting down to watch that. A fucking fantastic game of football. Dundee United losing to Dundee. The only team that really made up any ground on us was Hearts, who did manage to beat Ross County at home, but I think it's still, what, a 4 or 5 point gap.
Nice.
So yeah, so a wee bit of time for me to worry about them, I think. They've also got to go to Celtic quite soon, so good luck to them with that. Positive weekend, I think, all in all, despite not getting the points. And I think, a lot of people, depending on your perspective, it's either 2 points dropped or 14 games unbeaten, depending on the narrative that you want to spin. But with that in mind, there are 3 games before the split now. Ewan, give me a percentage, and just a percentage, no rationale, just give me a percentage in your confidence that we will finish in the top 6.
Oh, 100%.
Right?
Actually,
Craig, same to you?
There's no chance we're dropping it to top
Right.
6 now.
Ewan, give me a percentage of your confidence of us finishing third.
finishing third,
Mhm.
not like at the end
At
of
the
the year,
end of the
sorry.
season.
Uh,
Because you said we're in the top 6, so there's no point in asking you.
50. I would say I'm 50-50.
50-50 for
Yep.
third place. Craig?
40-60 against.
Yeah, actually, I would maybe drop that.
Maybe
Actually,
even 70-30,
as
to
soon
be
as I
honest.
say that, I'm going to drop to a 45-55.
Right, okay. So Ryan Smiley did ask, he said, I've got to feel that 6 points out of the next 3 games is a must to finish third this season. 2 home games against 11th and 12th in the league before the split. Yep. And then assume nothing changes. United at home, Aberdeen away, and Hearts away in the split. That's
Yep.
tough. That is tough.
It is.
Boys, how many points are we going to take from these last 3 games? before the split.
6. There you go.
6. So we're
Uh,
gonna beat
is
Dundee and St Johnstone at home.
nah, we're gonna win at Ibrox and lose to Dundee. No, I think 6 is as much of a guarantee as Hibs will ever give you guarantees. I think this current group of players are winning at Easter Road. Do you know, like that's what we've seen this year without being some of you, maybe some of our better performances have come away from home thinking, Pataudry and stuff, but I think at Easter Road we're being very professional, and I do think we'll win the two games at Easter Road. And I mean, Rangers are shite at Ibrox now. They're fantastic away for him, so you never know. But I think 6 points is probably what we'll end up with between now and the split.
Joe Leslie said in the YouTube comments, 75% in the Hibs Observer. I don't know if he means 75% for third or 75% for top six. I would imagine that means
Has to be third,
third.
surely.
Top six doesn't feel quite mathematically assured, but it feels pretty close.
I mean,
I,
we're 8 points ahead. No, Ewan.
no,
No,
we're
we're
not.
6 points ahead
Six.
of Motherwell.
How
The-
different would your opinion have been if we had picked up 2 more points this weekend in terms of third? Because we'd be
Mine's
what,
personally very different because I think when you get into a lead like that and you've got 2 games as favourable as we've got before the split, there's an opportunity. I know that not necessarily everyone else has got really particularly difficult difficult
Fixtures.
fixtures, but I do think there is when you're going
Where are
for
you just
third.
now?
For third place, I'd probably put us about. I think genuinely it's a pretty even race between us and Aberdeen. Um, I think I'm probably just shy of 50-50 because I think there is maybe just a couple of other runners in the race. Like I'm not completely discounted Hearts yet.
Would you have Hearts ahead of Dundee United now?
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
me
I
too.
think Dundee United are in a tailspin. I
Yeah.
actually think Dundee United might be worried about finishing top. I think they probably will
Yeah,
get it. I think they might be worried about top six now.
I think so too.
Just the way they started that game yesterday was. I know we'll keep going about that game yesterday, but the way they started and finished it was really quite something.
St Mirren have pretty useful fixtures from their point of view. They'd like to potentially. Not sure about Motherwell. They've got trickier fixtures, but like St Mirren have got Killie at home, Dundee away, County at home. So I could see a world where St Mirren were to catch Dundee United currently.
Nah, it's not happening.
No,
No, they'll do enough. No.
there's a very specky man in Southeast Asia at the moment who is
Already had that
really,
debate with him in another group chat. He was
really,
fucking raging.
really going to feel vindicated if Dundee United don't make the top
Hands
six.
up though, if Dundee United get their shit together, they could stop Hearts from finishing top six.
They could. They could. They could. I also, without making this about Dundee United, I was watching that game yesterday. I forgot how many options they've got on the bench. Like they have actually got quite a good SPFL level squad. Like their
On
attacking
paper.
players, they brought on Louis Mo, Rory Payton, who listeners will all know that I love. They started Trapanovsky, who was the next big thing in the summer. Obviously Sam Dalby, who's had the season. They've got good attacking options. Their midfield options as well. They've got real quality on the side. I think Jim Goodwin again,
It's a shame they're fucking losers, Liam.
should be doing a better job than he is. But there you
Just-
go. Anyway, but I've digressed so much here, and I don't even
That's good,
really
mate.
know. I don't even really know how to bring us to a close. But I am going to bring us to a close, guys, because we're past the hour mark. We're not going to have a podcast between now and St Johnstone because there's an international break in between times. But I am going to ask you for a score prediction from that particular game, just to finish us out. Craig,
But I'll give you two the next home games. They've both got 2-0 written all over them.
perfect,
2-0 games, hands down.
perfect. Ewan,
3-0 Hibs. 3-0 Hibs.
go on then. Just tell me the Dundee game as well, seeing as Craig.
Oh,
did
the Dundee. Oh, fucking hell. In a month's time.
Aye, fuck it, why not?
4-2 Hibs.
Oof. There we go. A wee reverse
Enjoy being
yesterday.
wrong.
Let's just hope, ladies and gentlemen, that after yesterday's result, Dundee don't have a resurgence, because we would ideally like to body them before the split and get our last 3 points. Well, I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you stayed with us for the hour and 5 minutes that we've been on air. It was a pleasure hosting again after all this time. I think I just about made it through. I did fail to read out all the comments on YouTube for that. I can only apologise. We did cover this 2 listeners' questions that we got in this week's podcast. And all that's left for me to say to our listeners is happy St. Patrick's Day, wherever you are in the world. God bless.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Smashed it, Liam. Well done, because I know there's none in the world that makes you feel more uncomfortable.
Yeah, that was class.